Batman Knightfall Part 1 might be the most faithful Knightfall adaptation we'll ever get. And that's exactly why it doesn't work, at least not in this format. The action is great, the voice cast is stacked, Bane is an absolute monster. When the credits rolled, I wasn't sitting there thinking, well, that sucked. It was just, that's it? Because DC just took one of the biggest Batman stories ever told, tried to nail every beat from a 100-issue epic, and gave us a 78-minute first act. That's really my problem. It's not that it's bad. It's definitely entertaining. Honestly, I'd tell you to go watch it right now, but Knightfall is this massive, sprawling story about breaking Batman down physically and mentally until there's nothing left. And when this movie literally throws Batman off the ledge, it just says,
that's all, folks.
We're coming out with part 2 in a few months. Come back next time. Before we go much farther, if you're into comic reviews, animated movies, Batman deep dives, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button. Now back to Batman getting his ass absolutely kicked. This movie, it was awesome. Pure Batman, pure Dark Knight. The pacing's fast, the action moves, Batman is constantly getting dragged from one fight into another. And the whole movie has this momentum where you really do feel like Bruce is on the verge of breaking. And everyone keeps noticing that Batman's tired. Alfred sees it, Tim sees it, hell, even Zaz sees it.
Oh, look at him, tired.
And Bruce, he seems like he's the only one that doesn't recognize it because he just keeps going. When Bruce is finally thrown off the roof by Bane and he lands on the spotlight.
Nice.
Bro, this is when I really got the feeling that this should have been a limited series on HBO Max or something. But I get it. I understand why it works as the backbone in the first installment. The original run was already broken down into 3 separate titles: Knightfall, Night Quest, and Night's End. Knightfall is basically Batman running a gauntlet. One villain, then another fight, another disaster, and the whole time, Bruce is just burning through whatever gas he's got left. The problem is that this part doesn't quite work in the movie. The actual comic run is a marathon to get through it. Knightfall isn't some small Batman story you can casually condense into one movie. Bane systematically destroys Batman, not by just walking up and punching him. He understands Bruce. He studies him. Hell, at one point, I think he even wanted to be him. And then he essentially turns Gotham into a war zone, knowing Batman is going to do what Batman always does. He's going to try to save everybody. He's going to keep going. He's going to refuse to stop. And eventually, Bane gets exactly what he wants. Batman finally runs out of gas. The breaking isn't just supposed to be this cool, iconic image, even though it's given us some of the best covers of all time. It's supposed to feel inevitable. Like after everything Bruce has gone through, you almost understand how Bane was finally able to do the impossible. And part 1 does a really solid job of setting all that up. The voice cast is fantastic. Jensen Ackles is a hard act to follow as Bruce. But Anson Mount's Bruce is great because he doesn't just feel like he's trying to imitate anybody. He's not doing a Kevin Conroy impression. He's just playing Batman as this wore down, determined guy who is absolutely refusing to admit that he's reaching the limit. Throughout the movie, his voice really grew on me. And by the end of it, man, I was invested. And then you got Michael Mando as Bane. He surprised me actually, because first I was expecting his voice from when he played Scorpion in the Spider-Man movie. Then you kind of expect the Tom Hardy voice modulation. But by the time the transformation happens and the voice fully matures, he's intimidating, he's intelligent, and bro, this guy is scary. Visually, he's just an absolute monster. And let's not forget, Mando is the same dude who played one of the most iconic gaming villains in history. Then we have Tim Drake. Honestly, Tim was probably my biggest surprise in the whole movie, because while Bruce is out there destroying himself trying to be Batman and save the city, Tim is this constant reminder that the mission doesn't have to completely consume you. He's still capable, he's still enthusiastic, and when he finally gets his moment to step up, he absolutely does. Overall, the action is great too. The movie moves through these fights almost too fast. Some of the villains, I just wish they'd last longer on it, but each of them are absolutely brutal, and you can see the toll it's taking on Batman the entire way. By the time we get to the final sequence with Bane absolutely tearing apart Batman through Wayne Manor, that goes so hard. There's just no argument that a lot of these animated fights put live action Batman fights to shame. The physics, the weight, everything about them can just feel so much more impactful. And Knightfall does not hold back. Knightfall's brutal, and it's pretty violent. When that opening Azrael fight starts the movie,
Azrael, find you guilty.
He's literally melting people's faces and slicing them in half like he has two lightsabers. It's kind of jarring. If you're going into this expecting Batman the Animated Series, you aren't going to be prepared. The beginning of the movie honestly doesn't even feel like a Batman movie. And don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. It was awesome and completely badass, but it was a strange tonal shift to make, especially for people who don't know who Azrael is or what exactly the story's about. Like I said, there's some things in this movie that are just done better than in the actual comic run. Azrael's origin is there, Bruce's grief over Jason is there, and they're all important pieces of the story. Because the movie has so much ground to cover, it sometimes feels like it's just rushed. And I think that's where being faithful to the comics can actually work against the adaptation sometimes. Because the movie gets a lot of the stuff right, but an adaptation doesn't just need to recreate events. It needs to make those events mean something for people who've never experienced them before. For me, the best part of it, and where it really shows what can happen when they spend enough time, is Bane's origin. For a lot of people, this might be the first time seeing the kind of hell that he actually went through. What happened to make him into Bane? The bane of all existence. Santa Prisca, it's genuinely horrific. The thing they make really clear in this movie, and I think they did a really great job of adapting it from the Knightfall run, Bane is the obvious dark reflection of Bruce. He's another kid shaped by trauma, another person forged by darkness, but instead of turning that pain into a mission to protect people, Bane turns it into a weapon. Batman wants to save the world from violence, but Bane wants to burn it all down. Through his trauma, it's been transformed into a survival of the fittest and that only the most powerful should rule. And there's a lot of similar dynamics with Azrael. He's another potential answer to the question, what happens when you feel like you are righteous, but just go too far? Then we got back to Tim, who really is the heart of this entire movie and kind of the secret weapon. He quietly feels like the person who actually understands what Batman is supposed to be, what he represents to the city, because he was a kid that was looking up to him. And honestly, that's the stuff I wanted more of. Not necessarily more plot, definitely not another 20 villain. More meaning between the big moments. And then the worst part of it all is I can't help feeling like this story would have been better served as either a much longer animated film, or as I mentioned earlier, just a limited series. Because Knightfall is built for episodes. The actual run is basically an episodic run of it. Batman fighting through the gauntlet, Bruce slowly falling apart, Bane watching and waiting, the breaking, the aftermath, Azrael taking over. That entire story needs room to breathe. It needs room to grow, and we need to understand the characters and the motivation behind each of them. And right now, part one feels like a really entertaining first chapter that just ends as I'm ready for the story to start. Like, imagine if Dark Knight Rises ended when Batman got his back broken. That's how this movie is. But once again, I have to emphasize, it's really entertaining. But I also walked away wanting more. Definitely not because I hated what I got, because I actually enjoyed it enough that I wanted to keep watching. But this is going to be months away. Knightfall's a huge story. It's a story about Batman being pushed further than he's ever being pushed before. And part one gives us a solid beginning. But it feels like we just got the setup. And now we have to wait, and let's not forget, pay for 2 more movies to get the rest of the story. So if you guys watch the first Knightfall movie, let me know what you think. Did you love how fast it moved? Or did you finish it with the exact same reaction I did? And if you've read Knightfall, do you think they stuck the adaptation? Or is it another missed opportunity like Hush? Drop it down in the comments. And if you want more DC comic and animated deep dives, hit that subscribe button. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it and how much it helps the channel. MM out. Peace!